I spent the last month really trying to figure out which booktubers that I love give me the best recommendations. So in order to do that, I've asked booktubers to go head to head against each other in a recommendation face-off. In this episode, you'll be seeing Syd from sydbookworrom and Steph from stephaniebookish go head to head. They each had to give me a book that they loved in the last year. Syd picked Sunburn or Nightfall and Steph picked The Book That Wouldn't Burn. So I guess you better keep watching to find out who wins this booktuber battle.
I'm gonna start this bad boy. Honestly, I know literally nothing about this book. I just know that there's a library and 2 POVs, and that it's a little bit more whimsy than his normal writing, and that it's obviously written by Mark Lawrence. I'm a pretty big Mark Lawrence fan. I've read 3 trilogies by him, and I've enjoyed them, so I would be shocked if I didn't at least enjoy this one. But I also am someone who says that I am a person about what's inside the story, not the author or the prose very much. There's still a chance that I won't enjoy it, and I'm kind of nervous about that because I don't typically like whimsy. But like, I also am like, how describing Mark Lawrence as whimsy feels wrong to me based on other things I've read, so I'm intrigued to see how that happens in this story. Also, I really like the brown spine of this. I don't know why. I think it like is a really nice color, especially with like the white. Stunning. I've made it 100 pages in and I'm loving this so far. I don't know why I'm shocked. I just feel like I'd heard people describe this as like different than his other works, and I don't feel that way. It feels like a Mark Lawrence story to me. The only difference for me is that I've never read a story with multiple POVs by him, so I am really liking the 2 different POVs. I'm intrigued by both of them. I think I like Lavira's a little bit better. I think something that Mark Lawrence does really well for me is intrigue. I'm just really curious to figure out what exactly is going on in the world. He leaves so much up to mystery while still feeling like I'm getting information on world building, and I think that really, really works for me. And it's the same with this story. Like, I'm wondering what is already happening with this library, who things are, what that is, how that works. I also trust him to pay it off because I've read 3 series for him and felt like the payoff has been good in all of them. I mean, I haven't finished one, but you know, I don't know if that's like bleeding into it. It's like my true trust of the author. At this point in time, like, I'm still kind of confused about like what the overall setup of the story is. The synopsis describes it as following 2 characters who are connecting together across worlds and time, and that the world is going to notice them in a way they never have before. And that's pretty vague. I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell you more than that as I read on, or if like that vagueness is kind of what you need. But overall, I'm just very intrigued. I love the world already with like the dust, and you've seen a lot of politics at play and like set up already. Like, I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm really, really excited that Steph picked this for me. I just want to keep reading, which is a feeling I have not felt this month yet. So I'm really excited because I thought my reading mojo might be gone. It's really sunny in my car today. I'm about to head over to Nick's, but first I do have to stop at the library to return some manga. I fell deeply into the Alice in Borderland spiral when I finished the show, so I thought I would maybe try the manga. However, I've just decided that I'm not a picture person when it comes to reading. This kind of media format just really doesn't work for me. I'm not really enjoying my time that much with it. I definitely prefer just to read like words on a page. I just find that I don't look at the pictures or care about the pictures, so I think that I'm going to officially give up on attempting graphic novels. I've always wanted to be someone who loved them because they're so easy and quick to read, but they just don't really work for me, and I'd rather spend my time reading a written narrative novel, like I don't know, what is that called? That format of storytelling. This just format, it doesn't really work for me, which I'm really sad about. I've tried multiple different types, I've tried multiple different stories and things that I've loved in other formats, so it makes sense that I'd love them in this format. It just doesn't really work for me. So I'm giving up on this, so I have 4 of these to return today for the next person to get, and then I'm gonna grab Starbucks, and I'm just heading to Nick's for the weekend. We do have a pretty busy weekend. We have a birthday to go to tomorrow, and then I'm going for a hot pot with my sister and some friends in the evening, and yeah, that's busy for me. Normally I sit on the couch and do literally nothing. I am still liking The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I'm gonna put that on while I do errands in the car. I'm just not a lot farther in than my last update to you.
Good morning. Can I get a grande iced vanilla latte, half sweet?
Grande iced vanilla latte, half sweet.
And that's everything.
It's gonna come to 590.
Perfect. Thank you. None whatsoever, which is great.
It's crazy.
like late January. It's like
It's so nice out.
sunshine. It's crazy.
We just had to pay our due with that -50.
It just came and went.
Yeah,
Weird.
that's the perfect way. Have a good day.
I honestly have not made it far enough into this to be giving you another update, but like, there's something about Mark Lawrence's characters that work for me so well. Our female lead in this really reminds me of a mix between Nona and Yaz, which are his protagonists from Book of the Ancestor and Book of the Ice. There's a little bit of like spitefulness and eagerness that Nona has, but also the inquisitiveness and the smarts that Yaz has. And I'm really liking those. And then our main character that is the male is something new to me. He's very, very cool and collected, which I feel like is not how I would explain any of Mark Lawrence's characters. Kind of reminds me of the Ice Triber in Book of the Ancestor. Why can't I remember her name? So I'm really, really obsessed with this so far. Really intrigued. I need to keep reading. I'm literally only like 40 pages past when I last updated you. But it's just like, it's so good. It sucks me in so much. Legitimately just filmed the Ramathon announcement and I'm so stressed about it. Like, announcement videos are the worst thing ever to film. There's just so much information, so much you can't forget. You have to make it all make sense to not just you, but like the general public. And you also don't want people to get bored and click off. And it's just, oh my God, it's so much work. I'm so happy I'm done. I hope it's good. I've almost every year filmed it twice, so I'm really hoping I don't have to film it again. But I got myself coffee for a reward and I'm going to finish the book that went burned today because I'm really, really, really liking this. I'm on roughly page 315, so I'm just over halfway. I'm probably 60% into the book. I do think that the middle has lulled a little bit for me in terms of pacing. I do think it feels a little bit too long and that I'm trying to get to the action a little bit faster than this book is letting me. However, the mystery of this book is really, really keeping me intrigued. Essentially what I told you earlier about there being two kids across time within a library having to connect and figure stuff out is literally what I would tell you the synopsis of this book is. There is a really, really big mystery in this book that's keeping me very intrigued. If the mystery doesn't hold your attention, I don't think you're gonna like this book. And I knew very early on that I was very interested in what exactly the library is, what is happening, who these two characters are, and things like that. So I'm very, very much intrigued. I do like Levira's POV a lot better than the boy's POV. I always forget his name, which isn't surprising because I typically love a young female MC just a little bit more than a male MC. I think it's the relatability for me. I find females just way easier to relate to most of the time. What they're caring about is things I would care about versus the man characters, which is just, I think, pretty normal as a human to be easier to relate to someone than the other. I still like the boy POV in this. Like, I still think it's done really well. I'm never like, oh my God, we're at the male POV. Like, it's not that. It's just that I am more engaged in what's happening in Levira's POV for sure. But overall, I'm just really, really enjoying this. I'm really happy that Steph picked this for me. Should we talk about Steph's channel while we're here? While we're here, should we talk about Steph's channel? I think we should. Steph is another one of my cozy booktubers that I love to watch. When I'm in the mood to get cozy and comfy and just like be immersed in a YouTuber, it's Steph. I love the way she talks. Like, this is kind of creepy, but like, you know those people that like read bedtime stories? I could let Steph read me bedtime stories. I feel like that was really creepy, and why am I saying it on the internet? But like, it's such a compliment. I just like love the way she talks, even like about things. She just has a very calm and cooling style, and it really shows. And again, her videos feel very natural to me, and like I'm hanging out with a friend. I really, really like that about her channel, on top of like good recommendations. Like, she just feels like an immersive experience to me when reading, and she is very critical when reading, which I really like. And I just like, I don't know, like a cozy friend. Like, she's a friend. When watching her videos, it feels like a friend, and that's a standout feature for me in her videos for sure. I really, really love Steph's channel, and I think more people should go watch and subscribe to her. She's got a great channel. Anyways, I need to finish this. That's my goal. I think I have about 4 hours of listening time left, so I think I can do that. I also am gonna edit the Ramathon video, which is, hopefully I don't have to refilm it. Hopefully I don't have to refilm it. It's probably really dark in here, but I'm reading before bed, and like currently what is going on in this book, I'm so intrigued. I'm so excited. Like what is actually happening in this currently? I should have seen this coming, but I didn't. And I'm so excited to see where it's going from here, because like I have no predictions, and it's wonderful because like I'm so excited just to see where it goes. And I'm making no coherent thoughts right now, but that is how my brain is currently working while reading this. I'm pretty close to the end. I'm probably like 80% in right now. It's good. It's really good. I finished this last night. I'm so excited to tell you that I absolutely loved and adored this book. I'm giving it a 4-star. It didn't quite get a 5-star from me, just because I do think that there were some pacing issues, and I also didn't love the side characters in Lavira's POV. I think that I wanted them to be a little more well fleshed out than they were. I liked the side characters quite a bit in Ivar's POVs. I think because of who and what they are, that made a lot of sense of why they weren't as well developed, but I still cared about them. But the side characters in Lavira's POV definitely could have used some work for me. I'm gonna be honest right now, and I think that that could be a struggle in most Mark Lawrence books. I would say one of my bigger complaints when I read Mark Lawrence are his side characters, but his main characters are so well done that like most of the time it doesn't bother me or affect me. I've fallen deeply immersed with his main characters in every single book that I've read. And this was not different at all. Lavira is just a wonderful character in my opinion. She's so inquisitive and engaging, and I really enjoyed following her journey, and every decision she made felt very real to her. I loved that. Same with Ivar. Like, he just felt like himself. Like, they felt like a character that I could see. Like, I could meet this person in real life and talk to them very easily. Like, they felt very real to me, which I really, really enjoyed. This is probably the slowest paced Mark Lawrence that I've read in my opinion. There is a lot that happens in this book, but it's very like slow and character driven. It's very much about learning about our characters and learning about the library itself, which, like, let me be honest here. The library is one of the most unique settings I have ever read. This is, I think, why I loved this book so much, is I've never read a book like this. The library itself, I have never read a setting like this. I've also never read a book that hits so deeply on philosophical things. Like, truly the discussion on power corrupting, on just politics in general, on knowledge, on racism is something so ingrained in the story and so deeply well done. I was just mesmerized by the topics of conversation, the quotes, the prose we were getting. I truly think that this is a masterpiece, and I'm very excited to see where the series goes from here. I'm like very curious. Like, I could not have guessed a single thing that happened in this book, in my opinion. I don't know. Some people are probably going to argue that they could have, which is fair, but like in my opinion, this book just constantly blew past my expectations, and I really loved it for that, but definitely some pacing issues for me still. And I think that's where the lack of the 5th star comes from, is just there was some pacing issues. I wish it was about 100 pages shorter. I don't know how we're moving on from this. How is Syd gonna beat this book? I'm kind of shocked right now by what I just read. But we're moving on to Syd's pick, which is Silver Under Nightfall. I don't own it. I was hoping my library copy would come in. Well, I own the ebook, I just don't own it physically, but I was really hoping the library copy would come in by the time I needed it. It hasn't, but the audio is on Everand, so I think I'm going to do mainly audio for that, which works really well because I actually have a lot of errands to run today. The sun is really bright. I'm so sorry for the quality of this clip. I'm about 30% into Silver Under Nightfall. I'm about to head into H Mart. I'm having conflicted feelings on this one. I can't tell you that anything is wrong, but I'm just not connecting to it the way I want to. I think it feels like a very easy read. The writing style is really nice. This is my first Rinchipeko. I really like the writing style. It feels very clean. The world building is interesting. The characters are somewhat interesting. My problem is that I'm just not connecting to it. I'm hoping this will change as the story goes on and I learn a little bit more about everything. I think maybe the problem is that I'm typically someone who connects to a very strong, opinionated character, and Remy is not that. Remy is very much a product of his situation, really just does what he's told, and he doesn't necessarily believe in what he's doing, but he's doing it because that's what you do. And I typically like a character to have stronger emotions than that. I just find it easier to relate to them, and I don't relate very much to this like in-between spot. So I definitely think that's a me thing. Overall, like, I'm intrigued by the story and where it's going. Like, I'm not hating my reading experience. I just thought I would be very much connected more than I am. Specifically because I feel like all the love that this book gets. It gets a lot of love. I'm really hoping I really enjoy it. I will update you guys in a bit. I just have to get some groceries. Well, who wants to grocery shop? But I do love the Asian supermarket. I'm honestly kind of angry at myself because I didn't bring headphones with me to run my errands, so I haven't read enough to give you a proper book update where like I do sometimes put an AirPod in while I walk around stores and listen to my audiobook still. So I did not do that, but I wanted to give you a little grocery haul. I got a lot of stuff. I did stop at Chapters. I did not buy a book. Every book that I wanted, they didn't have. And so I felt like the universe was just telling me not to buy books. Or I would look at a book and it would be available at the library. And I'm trying to be better this year at using my library and not just buying books for the sake of buying books. So like the Stowaway, I want to read in 72 hours. And I was like, oh, do I buy it? But then I looked, it's available at the library. So yeah, there's a balance there. However, I don't like to go into a store and leave empty-handed. It's a toxic trait. So I did buy these. I got some more Jelly Roller colors. I have the like blacks and grays of these. I really like them for annotating. I thought the colors would be fun. And then I bought these highlighters. They're like really shimmery. They could bleed. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, so I will let you know if I can annotate with them. But my journaling paper is a lot thicker than my books normally are, so I think I might be able to use them in the reading journal if not annotating. But other than that, they're just really pretty. But let's do my H Mart haul. The whole reason I went to H Mart was for these. They're tteokbokki or Korean rice cakes. Oh my god, things need to get in the freezer ASAP. They're essentially just like a rice cake stuffed with cheese. If you have not had them, they're literally delicious. They're perfect just like by themselves in stir fries or in soups. I have never tried traditional tteokbokki sauce, so I also bought this one that is like a pre-made sauce with it. A lot of soup dumplings, fresh ramen noodles. Pretty much every time I go, I loved getting the cookies and cream Pocky, but they had the chocolate banana one and I haven't had it before, so I decided to get it to try. And then just a lot of instant ramens. I was out, so I bought some. And then I needed to refill my gochujang. For Sobeys, I went and I just got stuff because I'm watching Vanderpump Rules with my sister and some friends tonight. We're watching the premiere together, so we're gonna have a cheese board, so I had to get stuff to make a cheese board. Who left me in charge? I went over the top. I got way too much stuff, but like it's gonna be delicious. So I got a little sandwich meat pack, just like prosciutto, salami, staples, grapes, because I like having a fruit on my cheese boards as like a refresher. But then I also bought strawberries because I want to try the strawberry peanut butter chocolate frozen snack that's going viral on TikTok. And then far too much cheese. I couldn't decide what I wanted, so I just bought a little bit of everything. To be honest, cheese is something we eat a lot of in my house. We do cheese boards for like grill dinner quite a bit. I'm not worried about it. My favorite cheese for a cheese board is either Boursin or Applewood smoked cheddar. And then I bought some crackers as well. So that's gonna be really fun. I'm really excited. I'm gonna go now, be very productive, read, get everything that needs to be in the freezer because it's ridiculously warm out. Normally in the winter, I don't have to worry about things thawing in my car. There are pools of water. It is January in Alberta, Canada, and there are pools outside. That is unheard of. Like what? Why are we above minus? Like, not that I'm complaining. It sounds like I'm complaining, but it's just like, if we're this warm now, I'm scared for the summer. I've made it 50% into Silver Under Nightfall and I was really hoping to have happier updates for you. This is kind of the epitome of a book that I'm reading that exists. I just don't really care enough to be like really invested in the story, but I don't hate the story either. I definitely see it getting a 3-star at the end of this. I'm just missing something, like something to make me care. I think I wanted Remy to be a character to have a little bit more prejudice against the vampires, to make the reveals about the vampires feel more intense, because if he never believed vampires were bad, I also never believed vampires were bad. But I wanted there to be like a change in tone, a change in like feelings. I wanted to feel us realize that like the people in control knowledge and power and propaganda so they can make you think something. And I mean, I guess there is like that concept of like some vampires are still bad. It's not every vampire, but like still, I just like, I'm really struggling. I'm struggling with that. I just think that there's not hardcore enough feelings in this book for me. However, happier news, I did just do my spread for the book that wouldn't burn. Essentially, I'm doing spreads whenever I like really like a book. So there haven't been a lot. There's been Heavenly Bodies and The Patient, but I really like my book that wouldn't burn spread in my reading journal. This is gonna be too bright. Give me a second so you can see. I think it's really pretty. I really like it. So it's just like a little mini review for me to like look back on.
I realized I need to talk to you about what this book is about because I have not done that yet. This book follows our main character Remy, who is the only son of a duke that used to be the best vampire hunter. So he does have a legacy to live up to, except for the problem is that Remy's mother ran away with a vampire and died during childbirth, turning into a vampire herself. So there are rumors that Remy could be half vampire. We essentially are just following Remy's journey as he is a vampire hunter, but he finds some vampires that don't seem all bad and he joins them. The synopsis gives it away that it is a throuple. However, the two characters that we interact with, I think a big negative for this book for me is the fact that they don't really talk to each other. Like, they talk to Remy, but they don't talk to each other. And I just, like, they feel like characters that exist in Remy's journey, not characters that exist in this world and this story and this book. And I'm not loving that. I'm really not loving this book. That's so depressing because I'm now going to talk to you about Syd's channel because I literally love Syd's channel. And so I'm sad I'm not loving her recommendation because I know she loved this book and gave it 5 stars. So I truly thought I was going to as well because truthfully I do think me and Syd have a lot of overlap in our reading. So I thought this would be a win for me. My main thing that I love about Syd's channel is the way she opens her life to you. Although it is a booktube channel, it is a reading channel, I feel a part of her life. She does a really good job of letting you see her day to day, letting you see inside of her life. When they renovated her house, you got to see them renovate the house together. You get to see sometimes what they're cooking for dinner. Like, you feel like you're a friend that's being talked to, a friend that's being updated on her life and her situation and her feelings, and I really love that. I think it's really hard to do that style of video and to make it feel very natural, and I truly think she does, on top of the fact that she has a wonderful reading taste, and I think that she gives very well thought out reviews. I really think that she thinks about what she's saying, and she loves books wholeheartedly, but she will give you a critical review on them at the same time, and I really love that about her channel. She's honestly a lot of fun to watch. She always has fun ideas as well, and I love that her husband is part of a lot of the videos as well. That is something I really love. If you're looking for someone, Syd in a lot of ways reminds me of Riley. If you watched the last booktuber battle where I talked about Riley, like, it just feels like a friend that you're hanging out with. I would probably compare their channels quite a bit. If you love Riley's videos, you'll love Syd's. If you love Syd's videos, you'll love Riley's, vice versa. I'm definitely very sad that I'm not loving this because I wanted to come on here and shout about how much I loved her recommendation because I love her so much. But you should go follow Syd because I promise you she is incredible and you will love her channel. I'm gonna go back to listening to this because it's a sad life over here. I'm so close yet so far.
I finished Sylvander Nightfall, and honestly, I really liked the end. I just listened to the last 20 minutes, and I really liked what happened at the end of the book, enough that I could almost be convinced to read book 2. However, overall, this book is getting a 3-star. I liked the first 20%. I think the last 20% 100% the best, and the middle really slumped for me. Part of my problem with this is that there was far too much romance. I felt like this romance was very insta-lovey. They looked at each other for the first time and had the hots for each other. There's so much smut and sexual stuff in this book, which I was not expecting. I kind of wish I had known going into it how much of that was going to be a part of the book. This felt like a romance book to me, not a fantasy book. Yes, there is fantasy, like it is quite a bit of fantasy, and I think the fantasy's done really well, but for me, it wasn't a fantasy book with a romance subplot. It was a romance book with a fantasy subplot, which is just like to each your own. You could definitely argue either way, but that's just what it felt like for my own personal reading taste, and I definitely prefer, if it's not enemies to lovers, good banter, I'm going into it expecting romance, quite heavy. I definitely prefer fantasy to have less romance than this book did. I do think the vampires are really cool. I like that they kind of resembled your more classic vampire at times. They kind of reminded me of like Twilight, where like you have the good vampires and you have the bad vampires very clearly. I liked the lore behind the vampires. I liked that vampires could kind of become a little bit more immune to sun as they aged and got stronger. Like there was definitely a really cool backstory to the world and the history, but the romance just like took up too much of the story, and I didn't care about the romance at all. I really didn't. I didn't connect to the characters. I really just felt like Remy loved the first person who showed him any kind of kindness, and it didn't work for me. I needed a little bit more definition to their relationship and things like that. I also needed the other two to communicate to each other a lot more than they did, because it felt like they were both having a relationship with Remy, not that they were all in a relationship, and that really, really struggled for me. Overall, I think that this is a good book. I can understand why people loved it, specifically if you connect to the characters. I truly think that you will love this story. I couldn't connect, but there is a cool fantasy plot in here for sure. As I said, the ending was good enough that I think I could continue, but for most of this book I was definitely bored because of the romance. Which sucks, because I said earlier, like, I love Syd's channel and her recommendations quite a bit, so very sad that this one didn't work for me. But the winner of this booktuber battle is going to be Steph. I loved this book. I'm very, very happy that I read this. I already pre-ordered the second book. Honestly, I think that there's potential for this series to be my favorite Mark Lawrence. Congrats, Steph, for winning the fantasy booktuber battle. But definitely go check out both these channels. I think that they're both really, really incredible, and I love them both. Definitely can't expect everything on their pages. They read a wide variety, so definitely go check them out. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me a fire emoji for the book that wouldn't burn. I would love to know if you have any thoughts on either of the books I read down below in the comments, and any of my links are also in the description bar below. But if you are interested in continuing watching booktuber battles, the last episode before this one is right here for you to go watch now.